Hello, and welcome to this episode of Mastering Midlife, How to Thrive When the World Asks the Most of You. I'm your host, Mark Silverman. Today, we're going to talk about getting promoted. Now, if you're doing things somewhat correctly, you're going to be taking on more responsibility as you move up the ladder. So if you do a good job, you're going to get promoted. And now there's a ton of books on leadership skills that you're going to need to take courses and really learn how to hone your leadership skills. For this podcast, we're going to talk about a subject that I work with my clients about on constantly when they get promoted or they want to get promoted. And that's going from tactical to strategic. So you get promoted by doing your job better than anybody else. So take a sales guy or saleswoman who crushes their number quarter in and quarter out. Every year they're the top of the list. And then they get promoted to sales manager. Now we know the skills that it takes to close business, to prospect, to work a deal and then close a deal and manage that time are not the same skills that you need when you become the leader of a sales organization. Here is where you need to go from individual contributor to success through others. So those are different leadership skills. So the first thing that we need to think about is how do we change ourselves from getting our worth, getting our satisfaction in the day from how much we produce every day. So in the corporate world, often we get promoted because we're the first person on the spot. We get there in the morning and we're willing to take on the jobs that other people aren't willing to take. We'll work harder. The attention to detail will be there, and we'll just outwork and outperform everybody around us. And then we get promoted. And voila, the reason we got promoted was because we worked harder, worked faster, worked better than everybody else. We also got our self-esteem from being that person. So now as a leader of an organization, a leader of a team, it's no longer our job to outwork everybody, to know everything about the specific jobs. It's now our job to step back, look at the playing field, and decide direction. Where should everybody be rowing? That's very, very difficult to do, to go from being that person who produced more than anybody else to now looking after the people who are producing and getting results through them. So the first thing that I work with people on is how do they carve out that time? How do they stop being used to being the firefighter, constantly busy all day, every day? And how do I get them to go to Starbucks with their laptop and plan and put the work into setting direction and solving problems, or figuring out who needs to solve problems? How do they delegate? So that's a tough one. Now let's move a little bit further. When you start to move from tactical to strategic, when you start to move from having other people do the work, you're used to handing in your quality work. You got promoted because you did better work than everybody else. So what happens when someone who works for you hands you work that isn't as good as the work you would have done? My suggestion is this is where you become the coach, the mentor, and the leader. You can be the teacher. You can go back and teach them these skills, or you can send them to where they need to learn the skills that you had. You can mentor them. The most important thing is to not accept the inferior work. I can't tell you how many executives I have worked with that their first instinct and their practice actually is to take inferior work, especially work that they have to put up the ladder to their superiors, and improve it and do the work for their people, instead of sending it back, learning to have those difficult conversations, holding people accountable to the level of work that you feel comfortable handing to the rest of the organization. That's not an easy thing to do, but you're doing a disservice to the people who are coming behind you if you don't do that. If you don't allow them to rise to the level that got you promoted, how are they going to get promoted? They think they're being a nice guy, nice woman, but it's just not worthwhile. So you really need to learn that skill of holding people to the level of work that you want them to have. So you need to be able to carve time out to figure out what's important for your day, then you need to learn how to not answer the phone, not answer emails, because you're going to be judged. You're going to be promoted again on how effective you are in your job, not how effective you are in doing your people's job. So learning to take your hands off the wheel of that every day to get to a more strategic level is something that you're going to need to do as you get promoted through life. And the more you get promoted, the less you're going to know about the individual and specific things in the business. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and we will talk to you next time on the Mastering Midlife Podcast.